Hello, Ohana, and my name is Anna Szabo. Today, I am your speaker. Saasguru kindly invited me to do a series of 5 webinars for the trailblazers to speak honestly, the truth about what the journey is like. And I did not come empty-handed. I see here some of my favorite faces already, and I see that we have more than 30 participants already, and we have more people joining. I invited some of my friends today with me, very accomplished people who will be speaking truth in love to disillusion you and also to encourage you, because the purpose of my life is to encourage and empower people. And I'll tell you, life is not easy, and the trailblazer journey is not easy. So today I'm going to share with you 10 essential things you need to do in order to become Salesforce Certified. Essential means that you must do them. You have to do them. Otherwise, what? You're not going to move forward. All right, so let's get started with 10 essential things you, trailblazer, must do if you would like to become Salesforce Certified. And the first thing you must do is to be willing to invest the time, energy, and effort that the hard work requires. And this is not just my personal opinion. I invested a lot of time, energy, and effort and courage in order to become Salesforce Certified. But today, I brought my very special friend, and let me tell you how I met him. I actually watched a YouTube video when I was beginning my journey as a trailblazer, and I was watching this YouTube video, and the Dreamforce event hostess calls this guy who runs on stage. She gives him a golden hoodie and she says, this guy literally completed every trailhead badge. And I thought, surely that's a joke. I mean, this can't be real. Well, trailblazers, please welcome on stage Valda Zaranka, who literally completed every trailhead badge. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him. He works at justeattakeaway.com. He is 13 times Salesforce certified, 48 super badges, y'all, all-star ranger, golden hoodie, and he completed all badges on trailhead. Hello, my friend. I believe you're real.
Yeah, I am. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this amazing event, and thanks, Anna, for inviting me. It was a bit last minute, but I'm happy to be here.
So you are super accomplished, and I would like to ask you one question, but it has several parts, because I would like for you to reveal the truth about the effort that you put into your journey and the result. So why did you complete every badge on Trailhead? How did you do it mentally? What did it take for you? Because you had to sacrifice. And also, what was the benefit of your hard work? The stage is yours.
Okay, so let's start with the first part. I never had like an intention to complete every badge, but it was getting closer and closer to that point. So, you know, you usually complete the badges who are like easier to complete or less challenging and all this kind of stuff. And you have those, let's say 20 to 30 badges. I tried and it didn't go through from the first time. So I just left those. But the more and more I was speaking with the community, and everyone started to ask, oh, so you got almost all, how many left? And at that time, I started like to count. I say, okay, it's around 25. And after that in a week, okay, 17, 15. And I think the biggest accomplishment was for me to complete Lightning Web Component Specialist Super Badge, because I'm an administrator, but I know bits and pieces of the development part. And once I completed that, it took me 7 months reading 3 or 4 books. I understood that, okay, now I need to finish it. So that's why
Let me just make sure I understood you. It took you months to understand some aspects of Salesforce before you completed your goals.
No, not necessarily. Let's say like this. I'm very good in configuration, for the Salesforce platform and some integrations, all this kind of stuff. But development, I know my way around, but it's not that great. So for example, Lightning Web Components, especially Super Batch, I was lacking some skills. I tried, basically didn't finish. I think I stuck on the challenge 4 from 16, left it. After that, the requirements changed. I had to start kind of again, read the books, and until I managed to figure out and finish it. That was like the breaking point when I understood now I can do everything.
And doing all of that, all the time, energy, and effort that you invested into doing this, what did it do to you?
I've got a lot of broad knowledge. What Trailhead can give you, it's a broad knowledge for looking at the different products. Let's say CPQ, some other clouds, basics, a lot of reading from the marketing cloud. Unfortunately, it's hard to get a sandbox, but that's a different topic. But I got a lot of broad knowledge in a very different topics, wide range of topics. So for me, anything what was thrown on me during work, I had some basics, so I had kind of a starting point, so it was easier. I had to just connect that knowledge, what I got, and how to use in the scenarios in my working environment.
So did all of this time, energy, and effort that you invested, did it help you grow personally, professionally? Did it help you figure out what you are made out of? Or was it just easy walk in a park?
No, it was not easy. And as I said, during the COVID-19 times, because everything what I used to do, everything suddenly stopped. I wanted to go to the pub with friends. I couldn't. One of my biggest hobbies to play basketball. I'm Lithuanian. For us, it's like a second religion. I couldn't do that. So basically, I just decided to invest all the time and effort in Salesforce in my career, and it paid off well, but it was a commitment. So for example, before COVID, 4 months I still had to attend to the office. My working day used to start 8 o'clock in the morning instead of 9, because what I used to do, I used to arrive 8 o'clock and study 1 hour. So let's say I was new at that time in the ecosystem, and I needed to get the knowledge, I needed to get up to speed, I needed to understand the basics, I needed to know how to get my way.
So with COVID, all of that changed, and you now invested all the time, energy, and effort into Trailhead.
So everything what I used to do, it stopped. So all the time, instead of laying on the bed and watching TV, Netflix or something like that, I invested all the time and effort for my studies, for my certifications, completing Trailhead. As I said, it was not that easy journey in some particular ways. It was a lot of swearing because sometimes you just can't pass it, let's say error or something like that. So
swearing is definitely a part of my journey too. Valdis, thank you so very much for sharing your journey. I really appreciate that you let us know that you did have to sacrifice. Well, thank you so much, Valdis. This was my first tip. And as you heard, be willing to put in time, energy, and effort the hard work requires. Tip number 2 out of 10 essential tips: design a vision for your future career so that that vision can become your why, so that that vision can fuel you every day, especially when you want to give up and you're like, I'm done with it. And to help you figure out what kind of vision is possible for your career, starting from absolutely zero with no experience, I would like to invite Brendan Conroy. I will ask you to unmute yourself. He's our guest who is 5 times Salesforce certified. He is an MVP Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame, that means he has been MVP for so long that they just gave it to him forever. He started his Salesforce career with no experience and ended up making a great career for himself at Twitter. Brendan, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Yeah, so I can tell you a little bit about, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I can give you a little bit about how I started. So as you mentioned, I had literally zero experience. I had started with a company called Market Metrics as their Salesforce admin, and I literally had 4 days to learn as much as humanly possible about Salesforce. I was going in for a director of sales position, and literally midway through the interview, my boss, my soon-to-be boss, had said, "All right, this job's already filled, but what do you think about being our Salesforce guy?" It's like,
Wow.
what? I have no experience. How is that possible? So I said I was an admin for 5 other CRM systems, and she's like, "Cool, you start on Monday." Oh my gosh! So I went to YouTube, watched a lot of videos on Salesforce, and I was just in. I was in the Shark Tank. Flash
I
forward
hope
10
that every
months.
trailblazer is taking notes right now, especially when you say the word YouTube. YouTube has been so helpful for me. And for some reason, people just don't use it. Like many times people ask me for resources and I say, yeah, YouTube. And they're like, YouTube. Yeah, YouTube is very helpful. I have a question to ask you. How, from your perspective, from your experience, from where you started that job interview you just described to where you ended up today, not exactly today, but we know before last week, how can a trailblazer, from your perspective, with no experience, envision a Salesforce career for themselves? And if you can bring us, I know you have a meeting in a few minutes, so I'm trying to honor your meeting that's coming up. How can you tell us where you ended up, and how can you advise trailblazers how to actually create a vision for themselves? Is anything possible, or are there limitations?
Yeah, I think it's ultimately being flexible. In 10 months, I was able to get my first certification, being the admin. And within about a week, I went into my manager and I had said, "Hey, I'm the only admin here. I've completely redesigned Salesforce. I'm requesting a raise." So they went back, determined some logistical stuff, and I got a raise. Flash forward another 6 months, the company was about to be bought out. And I got an offer from another business where the requirement was to have at least that certification. And this was for 50% more than what I was making prior. So I literally went back to my boss, who I love, she's amazing. And I said, "Hey, I've got this other offer. It's for this amount. If you can match it, I will stick around." They unfortunately couldn't. So I ended up in Salesforce Consulting. And my MVP mentor had said, "Salesforce Consulting is going to be really difficult. Are you ready for this?" So I had to brace myself for the change. And I was in that for 6 years. And after that company got acquired as well, then I moved on to Twitter. So one of the largest social media companies in the entire world. So my point is, you don't have to make a specific plan. You just have to put some things in place that will allow you to be flexible. And one of those things is very much certification.
Certification. And you know what else? The word that I use for flexible is agile. Agile. Would you agree? Agile. Because when I started in May in this ecosystem, I just started learning Salesforce in May this year. I was like, I cannot do it. What is this? No. But it was every day, just step by step, step by step. And you said you remained very agile. Which way should I go? I can go this way. Oh, I can go this way. Let me see if this is going to work out. But you had a vision for your career, that greater things are ahead and that you could do them. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when you were told consulting is going to be difficult, you didn't say, "Oh, shoot, no, let me go work at Publix or Kroger."
Yeah, I wanted the challenge at the end of the day. And even though it was something I wasn't familiar with, I was able to adapt. And I think that the training from both certification and from working in the industry prepared me for those journeys.
I love this story and I appreciate you so much. I cannot tell you how inspired I am by you. And I'm super grateful that you made time out of your super busy day. And I know you have to go. One last question. We all know what happened at Twitter last week. So we know that you're no longer working there and you're now interviewing. Many people at saasguru are interviewing for jobs and we have people from all over the world. So I just want to ask you, do you have like 1 interview, 2 interviews a week?
I've literally just this week, every single day had 5 to 7 interviews before jumping on this call and jumping off of this call. I have another interview. So I've been
Just to
cranking it
clarify,
out
that's 5 to 7 a day, right?
every day. Yeah. Yeah, it's been nuts.
Trailblazer, I hope you heard this, because when people reach out to me and say, oh, I applied for one job and the recruiter is ghosting me for 3 weeks, I'm so devastated. Please come back to what Brandon just said and hear it. 5-7 interviews a day. Now, Brandon, are you getting 5-7 offers a day? Or is this a
Not yet.
difficult journey of perseverance?
Yeah, I expect that I'm going to get, let's say, 3-4 offers a day in time, but we're still early on. But it actually got to the point that I had to create a Salesforce dev instance to keep track of all the meetings that I'm having.
Thank you so much, Brandon. I appreciate you. Good luck on your next interview in 8 minutes.
Appreciate
And
that.
please stay in touch. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. So this was the second tip out of 10, design a vision for your career. And what I mean is believe that you can do what is out there to do. Because when I was interviewing, I had more than 60 job interviews. I said 60, yes, 60, in a very short period of time. And people would ask me, what do you want to do? Interviewers would ask me. And I was like, I don't know what is there to do. I didn't know that you could be a consultant, you could be a project manager, you could be a business analyst, you could be a solution engineer on post-sales cycle and pre-sales cycle. And I had to learn all of this very quickly through my job interview process. So as we talked about investing energy and effort and time and having a vision for your career and believing that you can do, of course, now we understand and probably imagine for ourselves that right now we feel most of us as imposters. And I know it because trailblazers write me letters every day and tell me that they feel uncomfortable. They feel like imposters. They doubt themselves. One of my coworkers, when I joined, said that he offers sanity checks. I said, what is that? Now I understand what it is because I did my first implementation. So we can imagine probably at this point that even though we feel uncomfortable now, 10 years from now, after a decade of doing this, we probably will feel very competent and very comfortable every day, and we will just become a know-it-all. So whether or not that's true, I have somebody to ask, but my third tip for you is become comfortable being uncomfortable. The more I learn in this ecosystem, the less I realize I know, the more uncomfortable I become. But let's ask one of my favorite colleagues, John from Agency 73, where I work as a Salesforce consultant. John is an amazing person. He is 6-time Salesforce Certified Senior Solution Architect, father of 5, that's probably the biggest accomplishment, and he has 10 years of Salesforce experience. Welcome, John, and I have a question for you. After 10 years of doing this, do you feel confident and competent every day, like you already know everything there is to know about Salesforce?
Well, I think the short answer to that is absolutely not. And that's one of the cool things about the Salesforce ecosystem is that there's always new things. There's always new features coming out. There are certain aspects of the tool that I can do inside and out. I'm very confident and whatnot about that. But it's like you said, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's being very comfortable with learning something, because there's always something new to learn within the ecosystem. And as an architect, I get to go out, and that's part of my job, is exploring the fringes of the ecosystem and finding workable solutions and things that nobody has tried before. And sometimes that can be overwhelming. And we've had our chats personally about that, as far as making sure that you do have a gut check and like, yes, that is part of learning and growing as an individual and within your career, is learning to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and learning to expand your knowledge. And yeah, and enjoying the journey, I guess, is the biggest thing that I could say is you will always be learning new things, and you will be uncomfortable, and people will ask you questions. Can the tool do this? Can it do that? And the answer is probably yes, but you may have to go and figure out how to do that and why you would want to do that. And that's kind of the joy, is solving big problems. So
John, thank you so much. I'm going to share a quick story with me and John, about me and John. So let me tell you about John and me this week. I was doing my first implementation. This is my first Salesforce job as a Salesforce consultant. And I believe that what I see on the screen is what's there. Or I used to believe that. So I was struggling with implementation. I went into the back end and one thing was not working. It was not allowing me to delete profiles, and it was saying the profiles had users. And when I go and look into users, it doesn't have any users. It says it doesn't, the screen is empty. So I reach out to John to replicate the issue. And as soon as he joins my screen, there are users under that profile. And I'm like, hold on, what year is this? Which planet am I on? Who am I? I was like doubting my reality, like literally just a few seconds ago, it wasn't there. And then just a few seconds later, I refresh it and the users are not there again. So John gave me a sanity check. He explained that sometimes this insanity is normal. And also doubting your sanity is normal in Salesforce. John,
So-
I have a question for you.
yeah.
Oh, somebody says,
Oh, I
have
was
you
going to ask
ever
Paul.
failed an
answer
exam?
Paul's. Absolutely. I took my Service Cloud exam twice. Well, really 3 times. So I failed it twice. And yeah, I would say don't be afraid of failure. And every time I go into an exam, I always have a piece of paper after. And I'll go down and write down anything that I thought that I had a hard time with. And that's what I go and go study for the next time. Pass or fail. Because even if I passed the exam, there were questions that I had doubts in my head. And I'll go and review that because I may come up with that that scenario in the future, and I want to know that. Even if I pass the exam, I want to know what I had doubts on.
So this was number 3, and that is become comfortable being uncomfortable. You heard that John has been here in this ecosystem for 10 years, and he still feels like there's a lot to learn, and he feels like he doesn't know it all. Tip number 4, understand the importance of certification for your career success. Akhilesh is our next speaker. If he is here, is he? Hi, Akhilesh. It is so good to see you. Thank you so much for agreeing last minute to show up for my event. Akhilesh is a senior Salesforce consultant from Deloitte. He is 12 times Salesforce certified. He's an advocate for women in tech. I found this very, very appealing to me personally. 4 times a ranger on Trailhead. Welcome, Akhilesh. My question to you is, what is the value of Salesforce certifications for a person's career, especially if you interview people and you hire them? Thank you for being here today.
So first and foremost, just want to advise anyone who is just getting started into ecosystem. Your certification is just like your credibility. It helps you building your knowledge. Secondly, think through in that aspect, just like when we start learning driving is a skill set. You require a driving license. So it's like a prerequisite for you to get started in the ecosystem. Think through that a certification helps you building the credibility. And secondly, when you are learning throughout that process, you are able to presence your knowledge in that particular aspect when you're looking to get hired. Think through that aspect. Salesforce, it's a costly platform, it's an enterprise technology. So any firms or any companies will be looking to get you hired. They need you to have the knowledge, experience, and there are different ways on how you can build that experience. So definitely certification helps you getting an edge. It helps you stand out, and it helps you in getting that credibility as such that yes, you hold Salesforce knowledge.
Thank you so much for this. I have a question. You are highly accomplished, and it was actually my dream for many years to get a job at Deloitte. So you have my dream job. Now I have my dream job because Agency 73 became my dream job. But being so accomplished, have you ever failed a Salesforce exam?
Well, I'll be very honest. Failures are the stepping stone to success. Everyone who achieves success goes through certain failures in their life. Yes, I have. I've failed admin. I've failed Sales Cloud consultant. a failed marketing cloud email specialist because I was not from a marketing background. So I think failures is part and parcel of your life. I look at failures as your areas of improvement. I look at in context of how I can improve upon my next attempt. But all you just have to think through is like, if you are taking a test, take some learnings and make a note of where exactly you lacked in terms of like getting better scores, and focus more on that as in when you get into your next attempt. And I'm pretty sure you should be able to come out with that aspect.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I became 8 times Salesforce certified in 152 days. And in 152 days, I failed 5 Salesforce exams. So for anybody who is failing and wants to give up, I encourage you not to give up. One last question, Akhilesh, would you please invite women who are here today to join your LinkedIn group? I found it very inspiring that you're committed to supporting women in technology as a man.
Thank you so much, first of all, for the kind words. All I just want to say, Anna, like I founded an initiative which is called She Force Wit. It's about helping out advocating for women into tech. It's a forum which is about women and allies who pretty much inspire to get into Salesforce and tech, and everyone is welcome. It's not just like, curated for one specific thing. But yeah, the cause which we're supporting, it's pretty much like supporting for women in tech, because I personally see from experience that there is a huge amount of work which is to be done in the DI space. So yeah, everyone is welcome. I'm more than happy to share my link. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm also a career coach and a mentor. I help out people to succeed in Salesforce. So if you have any questions, queries, feel free to reach out. And once again, thanks team saasguru and Anna for the opportunity to be here and share some insights from my career. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you greatly. So this was tip number 4, understand the importance of certifications. If you're taking your first certification and it's difficult, know that you will have to take more because they're important for your career. So develop the skills required to learn, study, persevere through certifications and actually pass them. Tip number 5, learn as much about Salesforce as possible, and you need to understand how Salesforce as a cloud solution plays with other solutions. And we have Danielle, who is from Coastal Cloud, highly accomplished, and Danielle is not only certified in Salesforce. Let me make sure Danielle is here. Is Danielle here? Danielle is 15 times a Salesforce certified, all-star ranger on Trailhead, 21 super badges, y'all, 21. Danielle, welcome to my event. I appreciate you making the time today out of your busy schedule. And I would like to ask you, how easy was it to earn 15 certs? Have you ever failed an exam? And if so, how and how soon were you able to bounce back to take the exam again?
Oh, no, thanks for having me, Anna. Yeah, it's not easy to get the 15 certs. So I know a lot of people can maybe do 2 or 3 certs at a time, but for me, I always kind of gave myself the 1 cert at a time just to stay focused on the particular one I was going for. And yeah, I have failed certs. I remember failing my advanced admin the first time, Sales Cloud Consultant the first time. The one I had the biggest issues on was Platform Developer 1, because I am not a developer. I failed that 4 times. It took me a year and I got there on the 5th attempt. I failed it twice by 1 mark. So it was frustrating, but then I kind of pivoted and I decided to do a different area. I actually decided to go on the Marketing Cloud certifications, because at the time I was actually, in the job I was doing, I was actually working with Marketing Cloud daily. So I was like, I don't want to waste that opportunity, because I know Marketing Cloud's a different kind of situation where you can't get access to sandboxes, for example. So you can get frustrated. Bouncing back wise, I'd say as long as you've got the right mentality where you effectively don't kind of beat yourself up for failing. Nobody's going to know how many times you failed unless you physically tell them. So, and even if you did physically tell somebody, it's not going to change the world. It's not going to change like what you do. It's not going to change, what you do outside of work. It's frustrating, but I believe if you have the right mentality, it gives you that determination to actually come back stronger. And I also believe if you make mistakes, or you do feel like, for me, I actually learn a lot more through making mistakes anyway, as long as I don't blow up a company or anything like that. But if you fail, you can I think it was John earlier who said that if you focus on the areas where you need to strengthen, you can go out and get your sandboxes, your dev orgs, concentrate, get a bit more hands-on, and reach out in the community as well. There's loads of people out there. If you go in the community, if you've got questions, and also redo some of the trailheads. Trailheads do change. One thing I noticed as well is if you've done one a couple of years ago, you can go back and there's maybe a new module or it's been updated. So Salesforce always updates. You've got the releases. So it's always good to revisit those as well. I've never really thought that I've really let myself down. I mean, I changed career. I used to be in the Border Patrol in the UK. So I, came into IT fresh, accidentally came into Salesforce. But if I have failed, it's just a case of, well, oh well, let's go again. If you just keep that positivity, you just have that right attitude, you can't really get knocked down. If you fail, okay, that's just a part of the learning process. If you pass first time, that's great. There's people out there who can pass them first time, but there's no prizes for passing them first time. So it's just keeping going and just keeping that kind of faith and belief in yourself. And eventually, you will get there.
I would like to ask you a couple more questions.
No
First of all, I love that you and I match.
Yeah, so I didn't know you were going to wear red, and I forgot I put on, because I live in Florida, I thought I'm going to put on a summery t-shirt today, and I should have dressed a bit smarter. I mean, my other colleague from Coastal Cloud is here, Andy, and he's killing me in the shirt contest right now.
So the reason why I wear red is because I am extremely shy, and I have to work myself up. Like, I can do it to show up here with lights and do this. This is not natural to me at all. And I'm super scared. So for me to put on red lipstick and red dress, it's almost like transforming into Wonder Woman so that I can actually show up here, because this is very unnatural to me to do this. But I love people and I love helping trailblazers. Let me summarize trailblazers, what we just heard, because this was what Daniel just shared with us. This was a wealth of information. He said that when you fail, which you will, you should expect that you will fail. Do not kill yourself for doing it. Don't say, I'm a loser, I will never succeed. Everything I ever do always fails. These are all lies. I'm guilty of those lies, and I am able to rebuke myself gently when I speak to myself like that. And he also said that you need to get your hands on challenges. You need to go get your free sandbox developer work so that you can gain hands-on experience to pass those certifications. The most important thing he said is that some certs he failed again, and again. And sometimes in his mind, he rerouted his road and he decided to do something else. So these are all, I hope, notes you're taking for yourself as you are taking small steps on your journey from the beginning to become certified. You now have a wealth of mentors right here in this video, and you can say, okay, I failed. I know Daniel failed. I know Anna failed. I'm going to bounce back. Let me see. Let me go back to this video. Let me see what Daniel recommended I do. I hope you're taking notes for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And one other thing I'd like to add as well, as one thing one of my old mentors taught me, is like, Salesforce is so big. If somebody tells you that they know everything about Salesforce, then he said they are a guaranteed liar. So because it's so big and it changes, like we've come on and said before, you cannot be expected to know everything and retain everything. So when you're coming down to your studying as well, if you're not using it, like the old adage, you're not using it, you'll lose it. So when you're studying it and it goes out of your mind, if you do fail, then you've got that breakdown on the Salesforce exams where you can actually go back and go, there we go. I kind of knew a little bit about it, but maybe not enough.
Daniel, I would like to thank you. And I cannot tell you how much I learned from your perspective. This was extremely insightful. And now this was to recap about my tip number 5, learn as much as possible about Salesforce and how Salesforce plays out with other clouds. Tip number 6, I cannot wait to introduce you to my brother from another mother. And John, I see your hand raised, but we're running out of time. We are bringing on next speaker, and perhaps you can ask your question because this speaker is going to kick your butt. Let me tell you, my tip number 6, practice greet. Very difficult to practice because the journey is not easy. And I cannot wait to introduce you to my brother from another mother who taught me greet. And I'll tell you how. He is a Salesforce Certified Administrator, Air Force veteran, and today in the United States of America, here where we live, is a Veterans Day. So Andy, thank you so much for your service. And Andy and I started our journey together. We met on the HANA Slack channel, and we were taking the exam. He failed, and I thought, oh, what is going to happen? Is he going to give up? Is he going to abandon the second system? What's going to happen? And he said, no, I'm going to take it again. I'm getting my next voucher. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. And then he'll tell you the rest of the story. Andy, welcome into this webinar. Thank you so much for your service. And I have a question. How did you feel after you failed that first exam? And what mindset was helpful for you to leverage your greed again, and again? And you taught me.
Yeah, so as soon as it happened, I just said, okay, let me reevaluate what happened and then move on to the next target, which was to do it over again. And that's something that you have to learn over time is when you fail, and I've failed a lot. I've had a lot of great accomplishments, but I failed a lot. And what you have to understand is as soon as it happens, it's in the past. Like it's gone, we're over it, we're moving on. Something I can relate to is like with Salesforce Classic and Lightning, right? People who we're struggling to move on. Like you just have to go and do it, rip the Band-Aid off and move on. So that's what I did. And then as you know, I failed again. I passed on my 4th time. Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. Now, when people struggle, and you've seen me struggle, and whoever doesn't know my story, I failed Sales Cloud exam and I was completely devastated. I was literally crying. My whole body was shaking. I was not used to failure at all because I graduated from 4 universities, 3 of them with high honors, 2 of them on full scholarship. And I could not believe that it said fail on the screen. And that is how, by the way, Danielle mentioned that you don't share your failures publicly. It's not going to change the world. I shared my failure publicly and it changed the world. It changed my world and it changed many of yours worlds because that's how I'm actually here today. I shared my certification failure publicly, and the CEO of saasguru commented and told me about saasguru and invited me in. And then I passed many certs after that because I joined saasguru. Why I share my failures publicly, and I know Andy shared his failures publicly too, and it just blew up on LinkedIn. I do not want there to be this false idea. Oh, this girl is 8-time certified. Oh, this Air Force guy, he got his first job at Coastal Cloud. Things must be easy for him. No, it takes grit.
Yeah.
So for all the new trailblazers who are figuring their way around and feeling like they're drinking from a fire hose and maybe have already attempted exams and failed, what is your advice?
Yeah, so you just have to keep going. And I know that's very, generic, but you got to understand, you don't want to compare yourself to others. Like Anna said, we started our journey at the same time. She has 8 certs, I have 1, right? And so normal people might be like, oh, Anna's passing me, she's doing everything great. No, I'm congratulating her. She's on her journey. I'm on my journey, right? And you have to, the only person you have to compete against is yourself. If you compete against yourself and if you grow every single day as a person, you will get to be where you want to be. But as soon as you start focusing on what everyone else is doing, you start losing sight, you start losing track, you start trying something else, you start falling behind. Stay on the path, pick one thing, focus on it, and crush it, and you will do it. You will do it. But that's what you have to do, is focus.
But you can only do it if you don't give up, because if you give up, then you're not gonna do it. So don't give up, even if you want to give up. And you know how many times I wanted to give up because I was on the phone with you and you encouraged me so much and spoke life and grit into me. You spoke grit into me. And I was like, oh, I just want to give up, but I can't because I have Andy and he's encouraging me to move forward. And I did. And my story and my journey would not be this kind of wonderful story without you. So I want to thank you 1,000,000 times for being my brother and for being my friend and for all the phone conversations and for speaking grit into me. Banging it into me like this when I wanted to give up. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you greatly. I have 3 more tips because we had 10 total and we shared 6. This was have grit. Leverage your grit because it takes grit. The journey is not easy. Not easy. I'm sorry. This, what was I going to show you? This. Tip number 6, have grit. Tip number 7. Now you're going to be shocked because you're going to feel like I just switched on you. We just talked about all this high achievement and not giving up and setting goals and taking steps toward them. Now I'm going to switch on you guys. Now I'm going to say this. Take your trailblazer journey one small step at a time. You're going to feel tired. You're going to need a nap. You're going to feel like there is absolutely no way you can do another thing today. Now you're done. Then go take a hot shower, go take a walk, stand on your head, which is what I do in my pool. Go practice some yoga, call a friend like I had Andy on this journey. You cannot learn everything all at once. On my journey, when I was behind everybody in my boot camp for Salesforce, for 2.5 weeks, I was behind everybody. My head was spinning. I was like, there is literally no way on earth I can become a certified admin. That's just like for some special people over there. And I'm crawling here. But it happened. And 152 days later, I am 8 times Salesforce certified. And I have my dream job. And I can tell you, take it one step at a time. My tip number 8 is going to shock you. With all the high achievers we had here today, you're going to be like, what happened to Anna? Here's my tip number 8. Give yourself grace because you are not perfect and you will never be perfect. You will never be perfect, but you are good enough exactly as you are already. You are good enough. You can do it if you do not give up, if you just follow my 10 tips, if you just take the advice from everybody here today, if you understand that this did not happen in 30 seconds for me or for anybody you heard here speak. It took time and it took effort. Now, for me, many people compare themselves to me and they say, yeah, but Anna became 3 times Salesforce certified in 87 days. And she became 6 times Salesforce certified in 108 days. Yes, but I took it one day at a time, one breath at a time. Every day for me looked different. Some days I couldn't do it. And many days I could do a lot. And I gave myself a ton of grace. And right now where I am, I have to give myself grace because I work, you heard John, I work with super competent people. So every day I feel like an imposter. Every day I have a lot of doubt and I need to manage it in my head and I have to give myself grace. My manager is a dragon flow slaying Wonder Woman. I believe she is a disguised undercover Wonder Woman. And when I shared with her how I feel, that I feel like I want to add value and I want to do more and I want to do this, she said, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. So I'm telling you, give yourself grace. Take it one step at a time. Tip number 9, leverage a variety of resources. A variety means more than one, more than 2. Leverage Trailhead. Trailhead challenges. Go apply for those developer orgs that Trailhead offers to you for free. Get a mentor. Trailblazer mentorship is free. You need to go and apply for Trailblazer mentorship. Reach out to people you met here today. Reach out to them on Trailhead. Reach out to them on LinkedIn. Make sure you use a lot of resources. And YouTube is absolutely amazing because there on YouTube, architects from Salesforce who are paid 6 figures teach you about each cloud on Salesforce. Why would you not use YouTube? So leverage variety of resources. Everybody's learning style is different. You do a little bit of Trailhead hands-on, you read up a little bit here and there, then you go and watch a YouTube video, and the next thing you know, you took lots of notes, you understand everything, you're ready for your exam. Tip number 10, the most important tip. The reason why I failed was because I didn't have Sales Cloud practice exams. So my tip number 10 is join saasguru, and I hope that saasguru can send the link that everybody can click and join so that you can practice your exams. Practicing exams is how I became 6 times Salesforce certified in 108 days. And you have a coupon. Coupon is Anna20 for 20% off your exam prep. Let me tell you why I failed Marketing Cloud 4 times. And people mentioned here, saasguru does not have Marketing Cloud exam prep. Now, what does it tell you? What does it tell you? It tells you this, that when Anna has access to saasguru practice exams, Anna was able to obtain 3 certifications in 4 days. And when saasguru does not have Marketing Cloud, Anna now takes exams and fails. What is the lesson learned from this experience with just one person, this person, Anna Szabo? Practice exams are absolutely essential if you want to save yourself some sanity. So join saasguru, practice your exams. saasguru offers practice exams for admin, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Experience Cloud, Sharing Visibility Architect, Platform Developer 1. We heard today how difficult the exam is.